The calendar says Friday. That means it's Friday night draft. And what are we thankful for? You'll find out next on Locked On NFL Draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome in to the Locked On NFL Draft featuring former NFL AFL defensive back Eric Crocker. You see him right up there with the hat backwards. I know he's got some sort of music he's listening to as the show is going on, which I don't know how you do that, but if anybody could do it, it's Eric Crocker. There's Ryan Tracy at Ryan Tracy NFL, Rogue Analytics. I'm John Harris, football analyst and sideline reporter for the Houston Texans, owner-operator of footballtakeover.com. And today's episode of NFL Locked On NFL Draft is sponsored by Simply Safe Home Security with Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe. 24/7 monitoring agents capture evidence to accurately verify a threat for faster police response. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Visit simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more. And Simply Safe is sponsoring our Friday night draft, and here it goes. It's the last Friday night draft before Thanksgiving. So we thought, what football things are we most thankful for? We're going 5 rounds, and it can really be anything. But what are we most thankful for? Now, if you follow the Friday night draft, you know that I always go last. I flipped a coin. It came up Jayhawks. I don't know how that happened because it was just a heads and a tails. So that means Ryan Tracy will go first. Eric Crocker will go second. I will go third. But there's some pressure to start this off, Ryan. Then again, it's personal, so it's whatever you give thanks for in football, we draft right now.
I had to think long and hard about this one, and it's kind of cliche, but I am thankful for just the nature of the game and how it comes down to inches and how a first-time only coached high school head coach could win a ball game because even though you think a team stinks, they're within inches of beating a good team the very next week. It's the parity. It's the evenness. It's about guys raising their games and the fact that there is always competition in this league, and we get to cover it. So that's my first one.
Very well done. I like the way you started us off. All right, Eric Crocker, it is your round and your pick. What in football are you thankful for?
I probably have to go with Thanksgiving football, right? Like, I look forward to that. I think that's the one time where you got everybody around, the family around, you got good food, and there's going to be multiple football games on throughout the day. So probably Thanksgiving. I know we're supposed to be, thinking about what the day actually means, but for me, it really means family and football, and you get both of those things. So shout out to the NFL for making Thanksgiving football a thing, and something I can look forward to gathering around and watching with the fam.
I like it. All right, so you guys kind of tugging at heartstrings with the first two. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with my first-round pick, and I am going to give a football thanks for my pops as a football coach. I'm very thankful for the fact that he taught me the game from a very young age and basically turned me into the football thing I am today, and it was really the lessons that he taught me. It was playing for him my freshman year in high school, which always didn't go well, especially when I talked back to him on the sideline, which, I got smacked in the face one night. So those lessons at the time I didn't think were great lessons, but I'm very thankful that my dad was a football coach, and he taught me all those things. So I'm going to go with that, a football coach, dad, and probably more so the fact that after I got out of high school. All right. Now, the second one's not going to be as tug at the heartstrings all that much. I love to watch games. We all do. I am very thankful for the yellow line in football. Watching a game now and seeing where a team has to go. Like, I don't like all the scrimmage line stuff and you got to get here to kick a field goal. I just like that yellow line, knowing where a first down approximately is. And when I think back to me being the old guy in this group, watching games, and you had no idea where the first down was. You had no idea what the score was. You didn't know where they had to get to. I am thankful for the yellow line in football. As crass as that might be, I love the yellow line. I'm so glad that I know where first down is. I know a lot of people feel the same. All right, Eric, you took Thanksgiving football in the first round. What say you in the second?
I'm very thankful for John Idzik. And I know a lot of people are like, who the hell is John Idzik? John Idzik was the former general manager for the New York Jets. And he brought me in, gave me an opportunity, and that was something that really changed my life. You know, my wife would tell you I'm not a very emotional person at all, and I don't really take much things very seriously. But when it came to signing that contract, man, I cried like a baby, you know, because of all the different trials and tribulations I went through, you know, just to get to that point. It wasn't a straight line path. I wasn't this superstar high school football player. I wasn't a superstar college football player. I didn't go to a big university. I went to a small school, had to go the arena route. And there were a lot of other twists and turns on my path to the NFL. But John Idzik gave me an opportunity, and that's something that I'll never forget. Just my time there, the experience, being there with the New York Jets, with Rex Ryan, seeing how he coached and how that impacted the way that I coached as well. Other guys like Tim McDonald, long-term friends, people that I can always hit up. My guy John Griffin, he's a coach for the Rams. I don't know what I was going to call the Rams, but Los Angeles Rams. He's there on that staff. He was a running back when I was there. We stay in contact. Antonio Cromartie, just all the friendships that came from being on the New York Jets. You know, I appreciate all that. So that was something where a lot of kids grow up, say, oh, man, I want to make it to the NFL. And mine was more so I wanted to be like Stuart Scott and be on ESPN.
Yep.
But to ultimately, you know, develop that passion of like, man, and then when it started getting close, it's like, man, I think the NFL might be within my grasp. And then to make it, but it wasn't, if it wasn't for John Idzik, might not have had that opportunity. So I'm thankful for him. A guy that a lot of people don't care for, especially up in New York.
No, it's understood. All right, Ryan, you close out second round. What say you in your second round? What's your football thankful draft pick here?
Well, Croc gave me a good idea, and I am a crier, so watch out if it happens right now. But I want to say thank you to my D-line coach in high school, Manutui Asopo, who told me from that day, Ryan, you got a little bit of talent, you got a little bit of smarts, but you ain't got enough of either to make it in the NFL. So learn this game from other angles. And I did, and that led me to here. So the truth, instead of a bunch of dreams, I appreciated that.
Very well. There's no, I mean, you showed emotion, but, you know, I'm with you. I'm starting to cry a little bit, man. That's how soft I am. Listen, you put on the movie Miracle, I'll be crying halfway through, and I'll cry the rest of the way in. So, yeah, that's excellent. All right, I think we're killing it with this draft, and Ryan will snake back to you when we get back. But first, we got to talk about underwear. I mean, we got to talk about underwear because it's the one thing we probably take for granted the most. Like, we just reach in, grab a pair of underwear, put it on. I mean, it's just what we do, right? I mean, we're guys, but Tommy John, the most comfortable underwear, garments, anything that you want, you're going to be able to find at Tommy John. You don't want to get stuck in Black Friday crowds looking for the best, super comfortable underwear anywhere. Well, they got a Black Friday sale. And when you get your loved ones Tommy John, they're that much more comfortable, so they can do everything better. Shop Tommy John's Black Friday sale right now and give the gift of comfort to everyone on your list, including yourself. Brand new Tommy John underwear, loungewear, and pajamas. With over 18 million pairs sold, giving Tommy John has become a holiday tradition. 97% of women and men love getting a gift from Tommy John. Now, I guess the 3 other percent just love uncomfortability. Well, you got to shop Tommy John's Black Friday sale going on right now. Get 30% off site-wide at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. 30% off everything. Pajamas, underwear, whatever you need, men, women, you got it right there right now at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. TommyJohn.com/lockedon. See the site for details. Like, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to The biggest stories in sports go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. All right, round 3. Here we go. Ryan, in the football thankful draft, what will you do in round 3?
I'm going to take the nameless guy that does maybe the most thankless job that helps me today and has this whole time, helps you guys too. That Slappy that's up there in the rafters filming the All-22 and giving us the angles that we need. The guy that couldn't make it and has to do that to begin with. It's the start of a lot of careers begin by being that guy that's just filming the All-22. It helps us do our job, and I appreciate that.
I can tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that might be the best pick. There's a guy, our film department's awesome. I know all of them. I've known him for a long time. But there's one guy in our film department. His name's Tommy Stasser. Every single week I ask him for our game, an opponent's game. I ask for college games, and he does it and gives it to me. And you're right. And he films all the time. I always ask where he films. If you've ever been in Mile High Stadium and there's that demonic horse up on the top of the scoreboard, he told me one time he shot from there, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. Holy smokes. You got to be nuts to go up there. And he just, it's no big deal. He shoots from there all the time. Just the best. That's a great pick, Ryan. All right, Eric, comes back to you. Took John Idzik, former Jets GM, with your last pick. What do you say in round 3?
I want to give thanks to my mom. So when I was 5 years old, I asked my mom, I said, Mom, what's your favorite football team? She said 49ers. I said, well, I guess I'm a 49er fan. And that really changed a lot, right? I have friends that are like fans of the Detroit Lions. And that has to be miserable, to just never have any type of success, to never even have a chance, not even an opportunity, right? When's the last time the Lions won a playoff game? Maybe like Scott Mitchell, their quarterback or something. Even then, I don't even know if they did it back then. So I could have been a fan of a team like the Detroit Lions, and hopefully they have more hope now, and Dan Campbell turns this whole thing around. But I am a fan of and cover the 49ers, and the 49ers are definitely the gift that keep on giving. They're consistently storylines. Like, it's very constant, whether it's midseason trading for a guy like Christian McCaffrey, whether it's going into the season trade with Trey Lance and how that's going to look. And next thing you know, he breaks his ankle, and now Jimmy Garoppolo, who was not there throughout the entire offseason, they made him practice on another practice field behind. Like, don't even be a part of the team. Don't get a playbook. Don't anything. Just the 49ers give us constant storylines, and it's very beneficial when it comes to the Locked On Network. And I probably only have this opportunity talking about the 49ers because of the decision to be the same fan as my mom with the 49ers at 5 years old. So shout out to moms.
Okay, Eric, so on a game day Sunday, what jersey would your mom wear?
She has a Colin Kaepernick jersey.
Okay. All right.
So I think she still wears that. She has a black one.
Very, very nice. Okay. Mine is, it's two people. It's Bob and Janice McNair. And if anybody knows anything about the football history in Houston, you know that in 1996, the Oilers, who I grew up with, I lost because they ended up going up to Nashville, up to Tennessee. They became the Tennessee Oilers, took the whole history of the franchise up with them, and the city of Houston, the fourth largest city in the country, was without a football team. And then in the late 1990s on into 2000, when it looked like there was going to be an expansion team, it would look like it was going to be L.A. But Bob McNair and his wife Janice said, don't worry, we'll get the team here. And lo and behold, everything fell through in L.A., and they became team number 32 in the league. And without them, we don't have football in the city of Houston. Without them, we don't have an opportunity for me to even get on the sidelines. And I love being on the sidelines. I love being with this organization. And Bob and Janice McNair, Bob passed away in 2018, and Janice has not been in great health lately, but you talk about two of the sweetest individuals on the face of the planet. And bringing football back, Bob always said he felt it was his civic duty to the city of Houston to bring back football to the city of Houston. And we always wanted to win a championship for him before he passed away, before he got sick, and they were never able to do that. But bringing football back to Houston meant a lot to everybody in this city, but it obviously meant a lot to me because it's where I work now, and it's given me and afforded me an opportunity to be around an NFL team, see how it works, see everything about it, be around some tremendously great players, and none of that happens without Bob and Janice McNair. So I say thankful. I am very thankful to them. All right, so snakes back to me for round 4. It's going to sound kind of strange because
real
Bob
quick,
and
John,
Janice
I was always
McNair-
wondering how you became like a Texans fan, because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, the Texans weren't around when you were a kid, but it
No,
all
I
makes
was-
sense now.
Yeah, I was an Oilers fan.
I forget that people were Oiler fans, and now there are no Oilers, so we have to be, Texans fans. It's the same organization. So I have a question real quick. For the people that were Cleveland Brown fans, and then the Cleveland Browns became Baltimore Ravens, but then the Ravens came back. What do you do then when you were a Browns fan and you only became a Browns fan because the Ravens or the Browns became the Ravens, but then out of nowhere another Browns team pops up?
Yeah, here's where it gets even trickier in Houston, Eric, is the fact that when the Oilers left and went to Nashville, they took the whole team's history with them. The Browns mayor or Cleveland's mayor back in the 90s was astute enough to know, hey, when you guys go to Baltimore, you leave the team history here. The team history stays. So the Cleveland Browns, it just looks like you have this 3-year gap. It was Browns and then 3-year gap and it's Browns. So I think there were Browns fans that just remained Browns fans. What's tricky in Houston is because the Oilers took that whole history up there. The first time I went to Nashville, when you look up you go around the city or around the stadium and you see the Hall of Honor or whatever, the Ring of Honor they have, it's Earl Campbell, it's Warren Moon, it's Mike Munchak. And it's like, man, none of those guys played in Nashville, but yet they have the whole team history there. So it's always kind of created that little edge there. And I wish Houston would have thought ahead to, hey, we need to keep our history here, that the Oilers are the Texans, but now it's the Oilers are the Titans, and it's a team we play 2 times a year. So it gets a little tricky. But the Browns and Cleveland mayor was smart enough to say, look, you leave that team history here in Cleveland. When you go to the Ravens, you're the Ravens. That's it. It's almost like you're an expansion team. The Browns' history stays here. Then when they got the team, it just looks like they've got this 3-year gap. So it's always kind of interesting how that went down. Now,
so real quick. So were you ever going to be a Tennessee Titan fan?
Never. I was never going to be a Titans fan. Hell no. I didn't. When they moved up to Tennessee, my allegiance was to Houston and H-Town at that point. And when they took the team, and Bud Adams was an owner that was just, he's not a good guy. He was like he was like the Dan Snyder, I guess, of the the ownership world. And they wouldn't build him a new stadium. He's like, look, the Astrodome was not great, but it came down to that, and he's like, I'm leaving. And we're like, all right, good riddance, go. Now we didn't know whether we were going to get a football team back, but Mr. McNair and Mr. and Mrs. McNair brought the team back. Now here's where my number 4 pick gets a little kind of confusing. I moved to Houston when I was 11 in 1983, so that shows you how old I am. Yes, I'm 50, people. I don't look it, but yeah, I'm 50, and yeah, I look like it. The team I actually grew up with and I learned the history of the game from, I'm still very thankful. And they were always my number 2 team. But I was born in Marinette, Wisconsin, an hour north of Green Bay. So I'll let you do the math on that. It's cold in Green Bay. It's even colder an hour north of that. And my dad was a high school football coach there. And we used to go to games. I went to Lambeau Field as a kid. I just thought that's what everybody did. I didn't realize till I got older that Lambeau Field was actually this mecca of football greatness. So at number 4, I'm very thankful to the Green Bay Packers and everything that goes with it. When we've gone back in 19, we went back and spent a week up there practicing against the Packers and then playing them in a preseason game. And so I got to take my play-by-play voice, Mark Vandermeer. I got to take him. Got to be a good friend. We drove around Green Bay. We got to check out the city. We went to the Packer Hall of Fame. There was so much history there, and I grew up with that. I grew up in I went to my first game in 2016 with the Texans there, and I'm like, I used to sit as a 9-year-old over in those seats over there. So the Green Bay Packers, I'm always thankful to them. They're always team number 2 behind the Texans, obviously, because I work for the Texans and I live here in Houston. But they'll always hold a special place in my heart because of the history that I have as a fan and just building that NFL, history with the Packers and learning the Packers history. My dad teaching it to me. So I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers. I'm very thankful for at number 4, which probably gets me in a little bit of trouble, I would imagine, at that point. But, yeah, that's what I ended up doing. Okay, that goes back to Eric for your 4th-round pick. Eric, go.
Deion Sanders. I mean, I grew up idolizing Deion Sanders, wanting to be like Deion Sanders, and I think a lot of my love for football and just the way I kind of carried myself on the field came from Deion. Now, clearly I was nowhere near as talented as Deion Sanders. I wish I was. But just watching how he played the game, how much fun he had, and then the drive. And then I watched literally everything I could find on Deion Sanders. And just to see how he approached the game, how he prepared. You know, I think that's a part that gets a little overlooked because, he's one of the fastest players to ever step on the field, one of the most talented guys, and multi-sport guy. I think a lot of people forget he played like 8 or 9 years in a Major League Baseball. Like, what? How did you do that and have the Hall of Fame NFL career you have? But just Deion Sanders, I think, just helped me kind of develop that love of, not really having a whole lot of positive influences around me, but looking on TV and being like, man, I want to be like that guy. So shout out to Deion. And I know Deion, some people might look at that like, you want to be like him. But I think there was a lot of good with him too. At some point he turned into a pastor and you see what he's doing over at Jackson State right now. So I still aspire to be like him, somebody who's a culture changer and does, some of the things that he feels is right, but also still carries himself with the utmost confidence in himself. So shout out to Prime.
Prime coming in the 4th round. Ryan Tracy. Deion Sanders is off the board, so that is not going to be your pick. You are thankful for in the 4th round right here.
Eric inspired me, the guy that made me want to get in this game. I didn't idolize him because I couldn't play his position. But growing up about, a few hours south of you, John, spent a lot of years in the state just south of there watching Walter Payton up close when I was a young kid. And just the way that he attacked the game, the way that he was off the field, like you'd see him out in town and everything, and he was just a regular old guy. But he steps on the field, and he was a warrior in an offensive position that in the era of defense, always clobbering everybody. He was the guy that took it to the next level and played the game with the abandon that I think is kind of missing in today's game, to tell you the truth. I still miss that. But he inspired me to get into the sport, and that's where it all started.
Absolutely. All right, nice 4th round. I like how we did that. Very, very well done. All right, we got our 5th round coming up. Ryan, you will kick off the 5th round, but we got to talk about BetOnline.net, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. And at this time of year, it's the best. I mean, it's the best time of year. College basketball just tipped off the other night. Did we talk about the Jayhawks? I didn't see how'd that go against Duke, Ryan. Not going to talk about it.
Sorry, Dukies.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Okay, Michigan State and Kentucky had one whale of a game. So you got college basketball going. You got women's college basketball that's starting. You got World Cup soccer. You got NFL and college football. All that's going on right now, and you can get all the latest odds and trends for every sport out there. Esports, they got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, I know you love this one, you can find those at BetOnline as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online where the game starts. All right, 5th and last round. Here we go. Bringing it home. Make it a good one, Ryan Tracy. You kick off the 5th round. Let's go.
This is the one that I think everybody's going to connect with because we all do the same thing in early February or whenever it is. I'm thankful for Lamar Hunt, the original owner of the Dallas Texans that later went on to form the AFL, and he's the guy that came up with the quote-unquote Super Bowl that we all watch every year, year after year, taking 2 leagues, putting them together, and actually having a championship. It changed the sport forever, and it's something that has grown into what we all love to watch today.
And it's just, I think the thing about the Super Bowl is it's the one day everybody watches. There's something in that Super Bowl for everybody. And, of course, for us football heads, we love the game, but we love the commercials too. I mean, I do. What did Doritos come up with this time? What did Pepsi come up with? Did they light Michael Jackson on fire on accident again? I mean, all those kind of things you get a chance to see in the Super Bowl. All right. 5th round. your pick. What say you, my man? Finish it up.
I am thankful for the NFL draft in this show. All right. I was thinking about like all the other leagues, right? And we get to sit here year round. We talk about the NFL draft. And I think people forget this is an NFL draft show. The NFL draft isn't for several months, right? And we have to talk and find these different topics and things to talk about, different prospects here and there and different storylines across college football and how it pertains to the NFL draft. But people listen every single day. Why? Because the NFL draft means something. If you go to the NBA, after the third pick in the draft, nobody cares. NFL, they are tuned in for 7 rounds, 280 picks or however many draft picks it is. Everybody's tuned in. Our ratings on the show were really good. We were live in studio, Ryan, Tracy, and I, for last season's or this season's off-season draft or the draft in April. But, man, it feels good to be able to cover the NFL draft because of how important it is to literally everyone. So shout out for the draft. Shout out to Locked On Network for having us covering this draft show.
I wasn't totally worried that something on my board would be drafted. Eric just took it. It took to the very last pick. I had that one on the board. I actually was considering 2 of them. So I knew if you went one way, I was going to go the other. Because I'm the same, Eric. NFL draft has been something I've been following since I was a kid. When I was in college, and I didn't have cable in my dorm, I would have to go downtown Providence to a sports bar and order like 3 different rounds of food just so I could watch the first round on a Saturday at Jillian's Sports Bar in Providence. This has been, as I look back at the things that we've selected, we talked a lot about, where our love of the game came from, owing it to a lot of different people, coaches, GMs, owners, etc., founders. When I grew up, this is a little different, but I remember my dad got an album one day. And my dad didn't ever get albums. We had ordered them. And when he got it, it had, NFL art on the cover. And I was like, what is this? And he said, oh, you'll love this music. I was like 6 or 7. And it was NFL Films music. And I was like, I like this. I like this NFL Films music. And he's like, well, wait till you see NFL Films, the highlights and things like that. And as I got older, there was more and more stuff from NFL Films. And then they would have the crunch time VHS tapes with all the big hits. And then they would have the greatest finishes. And it was all due to NFL Films. And so my love of the game obviously came from my dad and playing it. But NFL Films was kind of growing up at that time and giving us highlights and slow motion footballs traveling in the air. And that vision, that just, wow, was so cool. And watching highlights of guys playing in the mud and the snow and then the music that went with it. NFL Films captures the love of our game. And then now the mic'd ups that they have and everything that goes with it. And I thought about it again today. And if you guys haven't seen this, you got to check this out. Paul Allen for the Vikings. Obviously, he's a play-by-play guy for the Vikings. I got a chance to meet him a couple of years ago. And just awesome dude. And they've got video of him calling the end of the Vikings-Bills game. And then they married it up with the NFL Films highlights. And I was just lost in it. I loved it. NFL Films makes this game look incredible. It already is incredible. They make it look even better. So with my last pick, I'm going NFL Films. It's music and it's TV and it's highlights and all that. I'm going with NFL Films. Gentlemen, that was very, very good. I give thanks for all 3 guys on this podcast. They have taken me in. Appreciate you guys. You guys are the very, very best. So doing this draft was something that I wanted to do to give thanks, and I'm glad we did it, and you guys killed it. Absolutely killed it. And I know you guys listening out there probably feel the same way, and we thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Day podcast. Catch up on the biggest stories of the day in sports, plus get instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Locked On Sports Today, available in the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. For Eric, for Ryan, I'm John. We will see you next week. Break it all down, what happened in college and NFL next week right here on Locked On NFL Draft. Let's go.